I'm very empirical and very scientifically minded. I do not. I don't believe in any of that woo-woo stuff.
Unless it comes to fun studies.
I suppose if you ask, like,
then
what's
you don't
your
care.
favorite color?
Then
Call it
empiricism
blue.
doesn't matter.
My logo is blue. My First Amender logo. By the way, consider subscribing to my channel because I debate all sorts of people. If you like my arguments, subscribe to my channel at youtube.com/@First Amender.
You can't argue. Why would anybody subscribe to your channel?
I'm really starting to enjoy Andrew Wilson debates, and this one seems like it's going to be a doozy. And lucky for me, Andrew Wilson has a ton of debates, and so I found this one where he's debating this, I guess, smaller YouTuber called First Amender about transgenderism and whether trans women are women. Let's see how it goes down.
I don't understand your question. That seemed kind of all
if
over the
all
place.
women in Andrew Wilson's mind are female, and I can categorize every single one of them based on phenotypical expression, and the ones who are actually males, who I think in my mind are females, then wouldn't that mean that the ones who are males that I categorize are males are actually males?
I don't understand your question. I'm so sorry.
If I can tell that you're a dude and call you a dude by your logic, I should be right.
Yeah, generally speaking, that is right 99.9% of the time.
So then if I categorize you as being a man, I would be correct by your same logic.
Well, but I'm not trans, so you would be correct.
Yeah, but if I call anybody
calling them a man,
anybody who said that they were a woman,
then it would be.
Well, then the debate's over. Then the debate's over. So all you're saying,
that's not the question.
Yeah. So all you're saying is this. I'm going to summarize your entire position. Super simple.
Pause.
Here's your no pause. I'm going to summarize this. You tell me if I got this right or wrong.
I mean, I do want to back and forth. I really do.
This is great. This is fantastic. So by your logic, this is
Andrew, and then I do want to.
Yeah, I'll summarize and kick it back. Here's the summarization of your entire position. The summarization in your position is, Andrew, if they can fool you, then they're a woman. If they can't fool you, then they're not. That's the summarization of your entire position.
No, it's not, because
it is.
I'm willing to respect individuals and their gender identity. It doesn't bother me or harm me in any way to respect their gender identity. So if it's entirely does not possess the phenotypic consensus, really, it's just a matter or not of whether or not that you walk out your door and you kind of want to be a jerk all day, or if you want to just, have some social decorum amongst yourself. I mean, I imagine if you step outside your door and you wear clothing, you probably already adhere to a level of social decorum. This is just one extra step. But by the original debate was whether or not that you determine somebody to be a woman. The specific debate.
That's not the debate prompt. Tell me the debate prompt.
I apologize. That was my initial question, not the debate prompt.
Yeah, what's the debate prompt?
It's are trans women?
Right. Are trans women? Are they the same category or not? And by your own admission, multiple times now we've discovered.
Well, I'll take you through the train of logic, because you've actually given me your self-defeater, unfortunately.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
You had said that. I said, how do you determine someone to be a woman? And your answer was, after me picking and prodding, that you finally came to the correct answer, which is you look at them. And if they possess specific phenotypes that are typical of that of female, you yourself would refer to them as a woman. Therefore, if there is a trans woman that passes, you, by your very metric, Andrew, would say that trans women are women.
So let me make sure that I got this correct, right? With
look at this freaking turd, this freaking soy boy right here. He's so pleased with himself. He's like, I got him. with his little low T waterfall right here. His little soy, spiritual Zen background right here. He's so proud of himself. Look at
the summarization. What you're also saying then is that if I mistook a person to be an elf because they had elven ears glued onto their head and lived in a woodland forest, as long as I mistake them for being that thing, then they are that thing, because there's no way for me to determine that thing other than my subjective experience around the thing, correct?
Well, elves don't exist from a
they don't exist. Oh, wait a second. They don't exist. So wait, I don't understand. Trans people are not all that is a construction of the mind. All that exists in
That's
objective
not
reality.
true. It exists at a
Yeah,
neurochemical level.
it's neurochemical meaning what? Mental illness?
No, there is a neurochemical balances that are able to be observed, not just in the brain chemistry itself,
Okay.
but the hormone differentiation, as well as different portions of the brain that are differently sized based on male or female typical
fair enough.
traits.
I'll grant this. I'll even grant this argument too. So if there was such a neurochemical disorder as to make people
It's not a disorder. It's just different.
Okay, neurochemical difference. If everybody had this neurochemical ratio inside of their fucking brain, they glued on elven ears and demanded to be called elves. Would you call them elves?
I mean, if you're talking about like just like are they getting like upset if I don't call them an elf?
Mm-hmm.
I'll just call them an elf. I don't.
Yeah, you would just call them an elf. So basically, all that. So again, your position just reduces to this. No matter what, no matter which angle we go at it from, right? It reduces to the truth of the matter is these are just males and females who are dressing up as the opposite sex. But because sometimes you can't tell, and the way that you classify them is the only way that you know how to classify anything that you're looking at. Therefore, they're that thing. I need you to understand that not only is that a stupid argument and makes no sense, but we can apply this to everything on planet Earth, literally everything on planet Earth, and that would not give us a good taxonomical categorization. In fact, I'm willing to even grant all of this. I'm even willing to grant all of this just to move into the harm element here. Do you agree with me, sir, that Christians feel like they are harmed if they have to lie to people?
Well, that is understanding under the predicate that you are lying. I don't believe that you are lying because I believe that.
No, I'm not asking what you believe. I'm asking if the Christian doesn't believe the trans is trans. Does the Christian believe he's lying?
Allow me to answer the question, not be interrupted.
Yeah, well, okay, fine, dude. Straw man it, and then I'll ask it again.
Well,
Go
I'm
ahead.
Not straw manning it. I'm
then give me my position back. If you're not, it's steel man.
This guy, he ain't smiling no more.
I'm not going to be able to memorize every perfectly.
Yeah, you can't steal, man. You don't even know what my position is because dude, listen to my actual question.
Your position is that you don't believe trans people
I want
are real,
to I want you to ask this question.
You don't want to, Christians, you don't want to lie, but
do Christians feel harmed if they feel like they are lying to people? Do they feel harmed? That's a false
predicate. You're not lying by your very metric.
Do they think they're lying?
No, by your very metric, you're not lying.
Does the Christian think he's lying?
Lying requires intent.
Yes.
As in
and if
malice.
They don't believe that you're a man or a woman.
Pause.
Okay, go ahead.
Lying requires intent or malice. However, being mistaken does not actually indicate the intent of malice. So if you were tricked based on the series of phenotypic responses by the very fact that you have just mentioned, that the way that you determine somebody to be a woman is that you look at them, therefore they effectively, trans women can be women by your very basis, you tacitly saying that they are women and calling them women is not you lying, it's you being mistaken. Therefore, there is no harm.
Great. So then let me ask you this question. You just agreed with me that if I categorized a man who wanted to be called a woman a man, because I could tell clearly it was not a woman but a man, that you would do it anyway to be nice. In that case, you would have to admit that the Christian would have grounds to note that they were lying, correct?
Well, the question is not
answer my question. Don't rephrase it, answer it.
The problem is with your logic is that not all trans women, right, to you, but rather if trans women can be women. So all I need is a tiny subcategory.
Why aren't you answering my question, bro?
Well, because you're already defeated by predicate logic. I have
what predicate?
To you, yes, the predicate is how you determine someone to be a woman. You said that you look at them.
Bro, that's a secondary question to the one I'm asking you.
You can have a trans person that passes.
First Amendment, just for the sake of argument, and I'll allow you to ask a question similar to Andrew's that's kind of adjacent but still relevant. In terms of taking the perspective of whoever it is, whatever group, Christians or otherwise, for the sake of argument, if they believe otherwise and they're having to say out loud, they're pressured to say other than what they believe. I think Andrew's saying, like, is this good for people, roughly speaking? And
I have no empirical basis that it causes any harm whatsoever to be polite.
Okay, so just real quick, I just want to make sure I got this right. You agree with me, then, by your own logic here, that if I were to run into a person who wanted to be called a woman, but I could clearly tell that they were a man, I could clearly tell this, that there are going to be many cases where that is the case, correct?
Well, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
There are going to be many cases where it would be correct that somebody who wanted to be identified as a woman, I could clearly tell they were a man, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you generally will look at somebody to determine whether or not.
So if that person asked me to call them a woman, that would be requesting that I tell them something which was untrue, correct?
Oh, come on, dude. It's not a hard question. But this dude has to sit there and think like and act like this is a difficult question. He's trying to think of a good answer that won't make himself look like an idiot, a hypocrite, a jackass. Let's see how long it takes him.
Well, unfortunately not, because it could exist at a neurological level, not necessarily outputting to general.
But from a biological level,
Well, that is biological.
Yeah,
because the neurological level is in fact biological.
Okay, then all you have to do is demonstrate for me right now that anybody would ever be able to make the distinction versus self-ID. So, for instance, what if, for instance, you and I could agree to these terms, very simple terms, right? Most trans women have never had a neurological test to make a determination as to their transness.
Well, the question is not whether or not that they are all 100% trans or not.
Yeah.
But just that there is a percentage of them that are. And so,
but
if very metric.
But if I had the there's no reason for me to assume it, though.
Well, but it's not really rather an assumption. I'm simply pointing out that there do exist the differences in brain structure as well as at neurochemical levels that causes someone to be more female-like, even though, say, they are more male. You could, for example, observe their external phenotypes in the combination and assume that they are a male. However, their neurochemical basis is not there. It doesn't matter whether or not that they have been tested, because unfortunately if they do have that, you have tacitly admitted that trans women can be women. Therefore, you have lost.
I want to make sure I got this. I want to make sure I got this right. Just making sure on this particular section of the argument I got this right. You agree with me that the way that I would make a determination as to whether you were a man or a woman is with my eyeballs, right?
The way that you determine somebody to be a woman is with your eyeballs. Yes,
right.
You look at them.
Okay, so if that's how I determine a person to be a woman, and you're saying that if I'm tricked into believing a male is a woman, I should treat them as a woman, right? Because that's how I would perceive them as being. Then if I perceive them as being a man, right, then clearly in that case, if they asked me to call them a woman, I would be lying to them. I would literally be lying to them because I could see with my own eyeballs that they were telling me something which wasn't true.
Well, there could be differences in the neurochemistry. It would not be a lie.
Okay, well, my neurochemistry tells me
within logical boundary, even by your own metric.
Couldn't Christianity also be
fair, right?
Couldn't Christianity be based in neurochemistry?
Which is very important.
Couldn't Christianity be also based in neurochemistry?
The ones that actually suffer from gender dysphoria is a small percentage. So a lot of these modern day trans people, they're just doing it because it's trendy or it's because they're indulging in their weird fetishes publicly. So it's not because they really believe that they're the opposite gender. It's because so even his argument about the neurological blah, 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 blah doesn't hold up because that doesn't ring true with all of them.
Couldn't it be a deliberate system?
I don't.
I mean, it would have to be. If it's biological, we evolved to be Christians.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that it is. I believe it is socially constructed, mainly because.
So 3 billion people are Christians, but you don't think that there are neurochemicals inside of the brain which assist with being a Christian, only with being transgender?
Well, that's a different question, because you said whether or not that there was a basis in Christianity.
Yeah, there's no reason for me to assume that the thing that makes people Christians isn't
You got to allow me to finish.
Yeah,
right?
Go ahead.
Talking about over 2 million years, or I'm sorry, I think the modern human is over 250,000 years old. Obviously, Christians had only existed in the past 2,000. So it is fair to say that it is not biologically linked. It is it's social.
No, you could be wired towards a social construction of any kind based on a pre-predicated social construction like Judaism from Zoroastrianism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't mean that your neurochemical structure based on biology from evolution wouldn't follow that trend, correct?
I'm sorry. You will have to repeat your question. I could tend to get very distracted at times, so I apologize. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm only going to repeat this one more time. At this point, I think you must be trolling because this is fucking ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
I'm not trolling with you. I have walked you through your own logic.
Bro.
How do you determine someone to be a woman? You say you look at them and
but that doesn't mean that they're a woman.
That can but
just because they're tricked.
And also, Andrew brought up a good point about, but what if you look at them and they're clearly not a woman? It's just basically a guy in a dress, and they want you to call them female. Like, well, what then? This dude, this freaking low-T soy boy, is not answering that question. And well, he does answer it, and then he goes into all it's neurological, blah 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 blah. So it doesn't matter then what Andrew thinks makes someone a woman a woman. This guy clearly thinks it's more than just looking at him, that it's also neurological. So who cares?
They're a woman.
You're not an endocrinologist, and you're not a neurochemist.
Why do I need to be?
And you're not a biologist, and you're
neither are you. Yet you're trying to tell him what makes a woman a woman. Like, get out of here with that.
Doing a lab test on them. No, you don't have to be those things.
Yeah, you're saying it's just by me looking at them, right?
That's correct.
But by the same metric, then I could just determine that they're not a woman.
The answer is that you're not lying, right? It could be something as simple
as
you're mistaken.
You don't know that.
Or they genuinely do have that neurochemical link that causes the gender incongruence. It is, and by your very metric, that would make transgender women. You have,
so I'm going to give you the fault
by the basis of the basic logic.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the fault in your argument again, right? Because it makes no fucking sense. There's a truth of the matter and then a subjective metric. All your argument is reduced to is saying that based on the fact that you can be tricked, that makes it so. That's it. And so the thing is like, no, that doesn't make it so. The truth of the matter is there's still stop, bro. Shut up, bro. Let me talk, bro. Shut up, bro. Shut up. Stop talking. Anyway, so back to this before you cut me off, right? The answer to this is very simple. A male and female have specific categorizations. You've admitted it yourself, XX or XY, or they produce small or large gametes, or, et cetera, et cetera. The truth is there's only two pathways the human body can take. One is male and one is female. All human beings on planet Earth are either male or they're either female. That's it. Sex is
that's not the case because
it is the case.
Well, no, it's bimodal. It's not binary. There's different. Well, you've even admitted
that's still okay. Then give me the threshold breaker. Then give me the threshold breaker
yourself, and you've acknowledged that, for example, a condition such as congenital adrenal hyperplasia or androgen insensitivity syndrome exists, but still maintain being.
It's not its own sex, though.
No, it's bimodal.
Yeah, it's not its own sex. It's still either male or female.
Result in someone being male.
You're still male or female. That's it.
That's why it's bimodal.
Yeah, but bimodality has nothing to do with what I just said.
Bimodal means
bimodal would still be a spectrum.
And then there's a bit of a spectrum in the middle, right? And that's where
Are you saying there's a third sex, sir?
What? No, I did not ever anticipate.
Great, then there's only two sexes, and there only can be males and females.
There's bimodal. There's aspects where the typical things that you can see of someone being male or female, and then there are parts of it which could differ, such as congenital adrenal hyperplasia or androgen insensitivity.
But that doesn't create a new sex category.
Yes, because it's bimodal.
So then you still would fall under male or female, correct?
It's bimodal.
So you would still fall under male or female? Could you fall under male and female, or is it always male or female?
Yes, there are people who are intersex where the genital aberration is so intense that it is difficult to establish whether.
I notice you use a loaded word there, difficult.
Yes.
It's difficult. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter the difficulty
let me give
level.
You an example.
I want you to give me an example of anybody on planet Earth who's both male and female, and it cannot be discerned which.
Yes, allow me to explain.
Show me a chimera real quick. Go ahead.
So typically
Before he tries and fails to explain this, if you're enjoying this clip so far, please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. You'll be helping me out a lot. So what he's describing, like I think he's, describing like hermaphroditism. That's not transgenderism. It's not the same thing. So why are we even talking about this?
That we determine, unfortunately, I should not be showing you that on stream. I promise you do not want to see it. But I'll explain it to you. So there are certain instances of genital aberrations that
like chimericism
make it very difficult to determine whether or not that they are in fact male or female. The way that we determine somebody to be male or female is typically we look at their genitals and then observe whether or not that they have a penis or a vagina. Very simple.
Yeah, okay. It is very simple.
Now, yes. However, there's instances where that's not necessarily obvious. Take, for example, we look at somebody and we can observe that their labia is perfectly fused together to form a ball sack. This is an instance where somebody is neither effectively male or female.
Oh, yeah, they are. They still have XY or XX chromosomes.
Doctor, that's correct, but it doesn't result in that specific
it does.
sex.
It does. All of them go down only two pathways.
Pause. What typically happens in a situation like this is that the doctor has to take a genital aberration such as this. They usually do an X-ray and say, for example, in this instance of congenital adrenal hyperplasia, and they have a fused labia to create a ball sack, they do an X-ray and they determine that, say, there's at least a uterus as well as a vagina inside the labia. Well, the answer of what they do is they simply cut it open and then they suture together a labia, right? And they walk
because they're females. But
it's totally possible that they could be XY, for example. That could happen. That happens.
But it's okay. You could still make the determination based on gamete pathways. You still could make the determination.
Again, it's bimodal. It's not as simple.
All you're doing is making my point for me. So let me go ahead and make my argument now. Okay, so what he just said to you was, yes, Andrew, it is true. Sex is bimodal. I say, no, it's binary. The way that I can prove to you that it's binary is because every person on Earth is either male or female. He says, no, except for intersex cases like chimericism. Nope. He then goes on to say, actually, Andrew, what it is you can have chimericism. And let's say, for instance, that your labia grows into a ball sack. They will then, after they determine that you're a female, which is actually pretty simple to do, based on your physiological pathway, you can only have one reproductive pathway. They go, nope, you're supposed to be a female. And so then they'll go ahead and cut your ball sack open and it'll go back to being a labia. That's an aberration, a mutation. Doesn't make them any less female, any more than a woman who had all of her arms and legs cut out and her ovaries blown out and all of that is still a woman and still a female. This idea, stop talking, bro. My turn to make the counter argument, interrupt you once. The idea here that, for instance, we cannot tell whether or not these people are male and female is insane. We always can. In all cases of chimericism, we have been able to. Every single one of them, we've been able to. And it's so rare, by the way. There's like 10. There's like 10 on all of planet Earth, maybe. And on top of that, these intersex mutation conditions have nothing at all to do with transgenderism. Zero to do with transgenderism. It's a classic intersex bait and switch on the trans question. Because when we try to identify what is female and male, we know exactly what female and male is. We know, and we can determine it 100% of the time for 100% of people. That's the big lie that he's trying to peddle you right now. All these people that he can show you have an intersex condition have all been determined to be female or male, even if it's with XY chromosomes or XX. Even if it's with these aberrations and mutations, we can always determine if they're male and female. Therefore, we always know what the standard of male and female is. Him asking me subjectively how I categorize and if I can be tricked into somebody being a woman, even though I literally give the definition of it has to be an adult female. Yes, I can be tricked to the contrary. It doesn't make it true, though. There is a truth of the matter.
Absolutely, 100% correct. And this dude already lost his argument earlier when he admits it's all about being polite. It's all about being polite. Doesn't matter if you have to force people to lie. To him, it's just being polite. That's what it all comes down to. Just not hurting people's feelings.
Unfortunately explained it to you, and I did try to stay on topic regarding whether or not that trans women are women. And I've walked you through the logic and got you effectively to answer that trans women are in fact women by your very metric. And so
By being
we decided
tricked?
that we were going to
Okay.
move.
Well, dogs can be cats too. You can trick me into the dog being a cat too, right?
Move. Well, hold on. Unfortunately, I'm not going to allow you to.
Yeah, you go ahead, and then I'll make the argument afterwards and destroy you again.
I wanted to read you a quick passage of
no, how about you don't, and you just give me an argument?
Well, this is the argument, right?
Oh, great.
I think it's a very good one. New parents, is it a girl or is it a boy? And assume that the answer will be easy. Penis and scrotum define a boy, clitoris and labia a girl. However, parents and even pediatricians sometimes find it difficult to answer this seemingly simple question. This is because some children are born with intersex conditions where the external genitalia are ambiguous, neither clearly male nor clearly female. This type of intersex condition where the genitalia are so ambiguous that the sex assignment is difficult probably occurs in 1 in 12,000 births. In addition, the incidence of intersex births depends to some extent on how intersex is defined. Certain conditions that involve less extreme genital aberrations sometimes are also referred to as intersex. These includes, for instance, hypospadias, where the urethra does not reach the tip of the penis, but the genitalia are clearly those of a male. If all such syndromes are included, intersex births can be thought as frequent as 1 in 100. So you said that there's like 10 of them. Unfortunately,
chimeras, not intersex.
Well,
chimeras.
No, again, I've already explained to you.
Those aren't chimeras. What's a chimera,
so
stupid?
I wanted to go back, unfortunately, to transgenderism and the
I said
chimeras,
not intersex.
I don't know
By
what
the
you
way,
mean by chimeras. It doesn't.
You don't know what a chimera is?
We're talking about intersex people.
Lord,
the point that I was trying to point to you is whether or not that you're determining somebody to be a woman. You've already tacitly.
Let me ask you a question. In all of those cases of intersex, did they determine whether they were male or female?
You look at them, and then the way that you look at them is depending on the phenotypes. And if they have those phenotypes, they, as far as you're aware, are a woman. Therefore, trans women are women. You have tacitly agreed with that. You have lost the debate.
Okay, so then I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure. Can dogs be cats?
That's a taxonomic classification. That's not the same as trans women.
Answer the question. Can dogs be cats?
Again, I've told you that's a taxonomic classification.
Can you answer my fucking question with a yes or no?
Dogs can't be cats from a taxonomic category.
Okay, yeah, great. But can they be from my subjective category?
You could mistake a dog as being a cat.
That's the end of your argument then. I'm making the same. So you're making the same argument I'm making to you.
Because humans aren't dogs or cats.
Let me show the audience.
We're talking about a human.
Let me show the
audience.
Let me show the audience the bait and switch. It's really simple. Here's the bait and switch.
No, you're doing the bait and switch.
My turn, bro.
Implying dogs and cats to
my turn. I just let you go through your whole quote and bullshit. My turn. So here is where he's making the bait and switch, right? And this is very low tier even for a leftist. No leftist would ever accept this, by the way. No actual progressive or scientifically minded person would ever accept this in a million years. Here's the classification difference. He says, if we're going to categorize cats and dogs, that's a taxonomical categorization. And so subjectively, sure, you can be fooled into believing that a cat can be a dog with your eyeballs, but you would be wrong. However, when I make that same argument to him about men and women, that's a taxonomical categorization, because it is. Male and female human beings, taxonomical categorization, I can be fooled in those categories. He says, well, then therefore you must accept that they're men or they're women. It's a great bait and switch, but it doesn't mean anything. Actually, your logic, what you're making right now, is called a categorization error. It's a fallacious form of argumentation. The category is to say that because subjectively you can be fooled, the truth of the matter no longer matters. The truth of the matter still does matter. You saying that if I can mistake a dog for being a cat, it's still not the case that it is the same argument that I'm making to you, that I can trick you into believing perhaps that I'm a woman, but it would not make it so.
Yeah, it's interesting. You said that the category is wrong, which is actually interesting because I used your category, which is unfortunate. I allowed you to walk yourself through
What was my category?
Well, because I was talking to you on how you determine somebody to be a woman, and
Female.
by your very own
They have to be
metric.
female.
No, because we're talking about whether or not trans women are women.
Yeah, that
And
would
so
be
I
female
asked
as
you,
my categorization
how do you
for
determine
woman.
somebody to be a woman?
I told you they have to be a female.
And your answer was, you look at them.
And they have to,
go through
no,
the same
that wasn't
exact
my
thing.
answer.
You've
What was my
already
answer?
got defeated in your argument.
What
This
was
is
my answer?
amazing.
Bro, my answer was they had to be a female. That was my literal answer to you.
Yes, you started by saying that they are a female, the sex that is typically associated with reproduction, but we've already come to the conclusion that you don't pull people's pants down because you're not in prison right now.
We don't need to.
Well, okay, so then how you determine somebody to be a woman?
This would apply to the same argument for cats and dogs,
reproductive organs.
This would reply the same way for cats and dogs. That's why you're making a category error. So the reductive logic you're using is silly.
They are, in fact, a woman by your metric.
No, by my metric, they're not, because they have to be female. No, here's your argument to me. Your argument to me is just simply this. Your argument
is not pulling their pants down.
Andrew, what is a woman? Well, I say a woman has to be a female. You say missing information that this person is a female. Could you categorize them? Still, absent that and be tricked into believing something which is not true, the answer is yes. But if I use the same logic with cats and dogs or anything else, you would agree and say, no, you're wrong. You can faultily come to that conclusion, but that doesn't make it so. That's my argument to you. You're not even engaging with it. You're trying to go through a bizarre like a philosophical logic tree that actually doesn't work in this case because it's a fallacious category error. Here's the category error. Woman must be female. Woman must be female. Now, can me, Andrew Wilson, subjectively categorize somebody falsely as being a female who is not? Yes, just like Andrew Wilson could falsely categorize a cat as being a dog, I would still be wrong. So the thing is like, that does not prove that trans women are women if the category of woman requires female. Why are you not getting this?
Well, yeah, because I asked you how you determine somebody to be a female. Right?
Yeah, so we would use the determination
and you said if they
female.
have the reproductive organs.
I said, okay,
that's
so the way
that you determine somebody to be a female is that
I never said that. I never said reproductive organs. Never said reproductive organs.
Said. The audience will be able to see.
Yeah, they'll hear my definition 15 times. It is one who is typically associated with the ability to reproduce.
I've gotten it written down. Yes, the sex typically associated with reproduction. I wrote down exactly what you said.
Yes.
And so,
but you're asking me for a definition of female, not a scientific.
No, the question is whether or not trans women are women, not what
they're not women.
Right?
Yeah, they're not women.
We talked about females.
They're not women.
The other problem is that you said that that I am taking you through some philosophical logic theory. Unfortunately, that's also incorrect because I can prove it to be the case, not just from not just from your perceived logic theory, but actually your own logic that you just walked yourself.
He's owning Andrew Wilson by saying, well, Andrew, you said that if it looks like a woman, then it is a woman. Got you. Because he has no other arguments. Because Andrew Wilson then brings up, okay, well, what if I'm looking at them, they're dressed like a woman, but I could clearly see it's a man? And this dude then starts to wonder, well, neurological. Or, oh, just be polite. So it doesn't even matter to this guy. So his own argument that he's trying to use on Andrew doesn't even matter to him. He just wants to try to win in some shape or form this debate because he knows he's obviously losing because a man can't become a woman or vice versa. It's a losing argument to begin with. If you're going into a debate with that argument, you're going to lose. So now he's trying to grasp at anything he can just to save face, and he is failing horribly.
Yeah. Used to acknowledge the fact.
So give it to me in a syllogism. Can you give it to me in a syllogism?
It is also proven at a neurochemical level.
Okay,
yes.
let's try it this way.
Give it to you at a
can you give it to me in a syllogism so that I can actually understand what you're talking about? Because it literally just sounds fallacious to me.
The logic tree, right? I don't have a syllogism ready for you, but I mean, if you want, I could spend the time.
Yeah, no, give me. Yeah, take a minute. Take a minute and put it in a syllogism
for me to write it. Okay,
because it's just plain equivocation. I don't even understand what you're talking about at this point.
Give me a quick moment, okay?
I'll give you a quick moment to put it in a syllogism because I actually don't understand this. It makes no sense to me.
Yep.
You're just saying that if a person can trick you, that makes it true. That makes no sense. Then you asked me for the definition of what a woman is, and I gave you the definition of one who is typically associated.
How you determine someone to be a woman. Not
That's different. So you're asking me about a scientific versus.
I said, how do you determine?
Well, you would determine, and I gave you the criteria for the determination too. It would be all sorts of different things. It'd be XX. It'd be large gametes. It would be all sorts of different things, which would make such a determination scientifically. However, you could make the determination absent, something scientific. But all you're saying is that if I can trick you, I'm the thing. That's insane. Yeah,
give me a second to come up with my syllogism. If you could just
go over to Google AI and put it in a syllogism.
I'm not
just
putting
do it that
in
way.
Google AI.
You are. Come on, dude. Don't fucking lie. You're going to put it in Google AI.
Give me a moment. Allow me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, we just have to wait for a sec. Sorry.
No problem. In the meantime, I want to remind you folks, first, we'll have the Q&A shortly. We'll read through your questions. You can submit those at the live chat here at Modern Day Debate. And I also just put a poll in the live chat here at Modern Day Debate on YouTube. It is, whose arguments have you found most persuasive tonight? So feel free to log in at that poll and let us know who you found most persuasive tonight. As First Amender gets what he's looking for, I want to remind you both of our guests are linked in the description, so you can find more content.
While he's pulling that up and plugging his stuff, let me plug my stuff. If you're enjoying this so far, please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. You'll be helping me out a lot. Who do you think's winning so far? I mean, obviously it's Andrew Wilson, right? I mean, come on. Oh, looks like he found it.
Syllogism, unfortunately. I'm so sorry.
We want to remind you folks, if you haven't yet, hit that like button. We do appreciate that support. Thrilled to have both of our guests tonight. It has been a while. We had First Amender on maybe last week, but Andrew Wilson is back. We are collaborating. We don't, let's see. We think that grudges are effeminate. And so we said, hey, no hard feelings. We're open to collaborating. We hope the best.
Gee, what a shame. I like to write. I write quite a bit, and I am capable of making my own syllogisms. So, premise one, you determine someone to be a woman by looking at
Stop, hang on. You do it real slow so I can write it out so I can actually see the argument.
Mm-hmm. So, premise one, you determine someone to be a woman by looking at them. Right? Because initially you said if they are female, and as in the sex typically associated with reproduction. Unfortunately,
then
that's
premise
not possible
two.
Because, premise two, woman is based on the phenotypes which are typical of female.
Okay.
Premise three is trans women can possess phenotypes typical of that of females. Premise four, if a trans woman has enough phenotypes, they appear to be a woman.
Okay.
Therefore, you determine a trans woman to be a woman.
So the conclusion is, therefore, you determine trans woman to be a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this right. Premise one, you determine somebody to be a woman by looking at them.
Yes.
Okay, I reject premise one.
Oh, so now you're contradicting yourself on your initial basis on how you determine someone to be a woman.
This is why I wanted it in a syllogism.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
You're rejecting because, unfortunately, you're contradicting yourself. I said, how do you determine someone to be a woman? You said that if they are female. Stop.
Well, I just need a clarification of who you is in this case.
You.
Me personally, right?
Yes, you personally.
Okay, me personally.
Yes, you personally.
Okay, so you is not being used in this case as like a collective of us, right?
Correct. So how you are determining somebody to be a woman is you initially answered saying if they are female. And I said, what does that mean? and you said if they have the sex, which is typically associated with reproduction. I said, okay, so you're walking down the street, you go up to a person, you pull down their pants and you observe them. Well, we've come to the conclusion that you're not in jail right now, so you probably do not, in fact, use sex to determine that if they have reproductive organs, to determine if they are in fact a woman. Okay, and so I finally, after enough,
I'm actually fine. I'm fine with this syllogism.
You look at them.
I'm fine with this. Listen, I'm fine with this syllogism. All I'm doing is just asking clarifications. So just real quick, very, very clear clarifications. You in premise 1 is Andrew. So therefore, all yous after this is referring to Andrew, correct? So it would be you, Andrew, determine someone to be a woman by looking at them, right? That's premise 1. You,
I don't think
Andrew.
it matters if it's Andrew or
no,
if
it matters.
Collective.
Can you just clarify, is you Andrew in premise 1 or not?
Let's say it is collective. It is a
well, it can't
syllogism.
be. Oh, bro. Okay, well then here. I'm going to give you the counter syllogism.
I'm not aware of anybody.
I'm going to give you the counter syllogism.
I don't know. Maybe somebody is blind and they
ready.
Smell.
Hang on. Stop, bro. Stop. It's my turn. I'm going to give you the counter syllogism. You determine somebody to be, or a dog to be a cat by looking at them. Premise 2. A dog is phenotypes based on whatever dog is. Premise 3. Trans women can possess the phenotypes of females. A cat can possess the phenotypes of a dog. Premise 4, if a dog has enough cat phenotypes, they appear to be a dog. Therefore, you determine cats can be dogs. Correct?
Again, the problem
No, let's walk through it. We're going to walk through it.
Well,
how do you determine? We're going to stop. We're going to walk through your syllogism.
Taxonomic differences.
We're going to walk through your syllogism
that occur
stop, bro.
At specific phenotypes.
Stop, bro. We're going to walk through your syllogism.
We're not talking about
let's do premise 1.
Not analogous.
Bro,
let's give it a chance just to walk through.
Let's walk through. Premise 1, you determine somebody to be a woman by looking at them. Sir, premise 1, how do you determine a cat to be a cat?
How do I determine a cat to be a cat? I look at their phenotypes.
By how they look? By looking at them?
Sure.
Okay.
I look at them.
Okay, so great. So premise 1, write it down. You determine some cat to be a cat by looking at them.
Imagine this guy. Imagine going throughout this whole effort to produce this syllogism, and Andrew Wilson's now using it to completely demolish him. This is great. I love this.
Okay, stop, bro. Stop. We're going through your syllogism, bro.
What?
Stop, bro. Stop. We're going through your syllogism. We're going through your syllogism.
It's an invalid
We're going through your syllogism. Stop.
No, it's an invalid critique.
How, bro? I don't understand. I don't understand.
I'm talking about
I don't get it. We're going through. It's your syllogism.
Homo sapiens sapiens. I am talking about Homo sapiens.
Why won't you let me go through the syllogism, James?
Because it's invalid. Your premise is
your syllogism is invalid?
No, your syllogism is invalid because you're applying differences in taxonomic classifications when I'm
so the fuck are you, stupid? If listen, you dumb fuck. Oh my god.
Still Homo sapiens sapiens.
Well, First Amendment, if you want a kind of a critique on Andrews, but I do want to give a chance just because it is your own syllogism that you laid out.
It is his own syllogism. I'm just walking through it.
Yeah,
how do you determine a cat to be
invalid? Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
First Amendment, I need you to work with me here. Let's give Andrew a chance.
I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah, great. So premise 1, you determine a cat to be a cat by looking at them, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Premise 2, you say a woman is phenotypes based on female, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm guessing that a cat is phenotypes based on feline.
Yes.
Okay, great. So that's premise 2. Premise 3, trans women can possess the phenotypes of females. Premise 3, cats can possess the phenotypes of dogs.
Those are different taxonomic classifications.
Can you answer my question,
no,
please?
It is invalid.
Cats can't?
Is invalid.
Cats can't possess the phenotypes of dogs?
No.
They can't?
They are different taxonomic. Well, first of all, no. The premise, the entire premise, not that they can't possess phenotypes of dogs, but that the premise itself, because you're talking about.
Okay, great. No, I'm just asking you. Stop with that. But now it's my turn for the counter syllogism. Can cats possess the phenotypes of dogs?
Yes.
Okay, great. So if trans women can possess the phenotypes of females, so in this case, premise 3, right? Cats can possess the phenotypes of dogs, correct?
No.
They can't?
Some, but it
okay,
is
well then they
possible that
can.
there's
Okay, great.
some that
So then
possess
premise
specific
4, so then
phenotypes,
premise
but not.
4, if a cat has enough phenotypes, they appear to be a dog. If a cat has enough phenotypes, they appear to be a dog. That would be correct, right? If a cat had enough dog phenotypes, they would appear to be a
Actually, the
dog.
way that we kind of determine a cat to be a cat and a dog to be a dog, being that phenotype, if I suppose, like if they had enough phenotypes, they
would be a dog.
would
yeah,
be
okay,
that.
makes sense. So if a dog,
But
so if
unfortunately,
hang on,
we're
stop,
talking
bro,
about differences
So
in
if a
taxonomic
cat,
classifications, so
stop,
this whole
bro,
thing is invalid.
stop, bro, stop. We're just going through the syllogism. So if a cat had enough phenotypes that they could appear to be a dog, right?
That is how we typically taxonomically
Okay, great. So premise 4.
things. Yes.
So then,
but unfortunately,
therefore,
cats
my
aren't dogs,
so then my
so
conclusion.
it's not valid.
Okay, great. So my conclusion of this is then, therefore, you can determine that cats can be dogs. So just to give you your syllogism
No,
back,
because of the difference in
so hang on,
taxonomic
stop, bro,
classification.
and then you can
We're stuck on
respond.
Homo
Just stop,
sapiens.
and then you can respond all you fucking want. Just stop for a second. So here's your syllogism back to you, just so that you understand.
Go ahead and read
I've been writing it down.
basis of everything. Go ahead. Yeah.
You determine cats to be cats by looking at them. That's premise 1. Premise 2, a cat is the phenotypes based on feline. Premise 3, a cat can possess the phenotypes of a dog. Premise 4, if a cat has enough phenotypes, they can appear to be a dog. Therefore, you determine that dogs can be cats. That is your syllogism back to you, you fucking idiot.
Hey, Andrew, for the final time, and the 12th time now, we're talking about taxonomic differences. I'm stuck on just Homo sapiens sapiens. So just on the basis of your premise, it doesn't work.
Why? It's the same exact argument
because
back.
We're talking about Homo sapiens sapiens.
Yeah, and in this case, we're talking about feline felinius.
Taxonomic categories.
Yeah, listen, it is a taxonomical category. Do you agree with me that Homo sapiens, that you have males and females who are Homo sapien?
Huh? What?
There are male and female Homo sapiens?
There are, yes.
Okay, and there has to be a way. So then there has to be a way to make a determination between which are male and which are female, right?
Yes.
Okay, so since we can determine that there has to be a way to determine which are male and which are female, in this case, we're doing the exact same criticism back the other way. I agree with you that we can determine all sorts of things biologically for what makes a cat. However, your syllogism here is just based on objectively observing these things. So if you're just observing it, you can make the mistake. The syllogism you gave back to me is the same one I gave back to you, and you came to an unsound conclusion. Your argument is invalid, and I just demonstrated how it's invalid.
Oh my god, this guy looks like he's about to cry. his little Zen background with his little low T soy waterfall isn't gonna help him get through this one. I would love to keep watching, but this has really gone on long enough. However, there is one part that I saw later on, most replayed, and I thought this was funny, so I think we could just end it off on this part. Oh my god, this guy looks like he's about to break into tears.
I'm very empirical and very scientifically minded. I do not. I don't believe in any of that woo-woo stuff.
Unless it comes to fun studies.
I suppose if you ask, like,
then
what's your favorite color?
Then
call it blue.
doesn't matter.
My logo is blue. My First Amender logo. By the way, consider subscribing to my channel because I debate all sorts of people. If you like my arguments, subscribe to my channel at youtube.com/@First Amender.
You can't argue. Why would anybody subscribe to your channel?
Hey man, it's okay. Don't worry.
Jordan C says First Amender.
I'm not. I'm not worrying. But why would anybody subscribe to your channel? You don't know how to argue. Why would they subscribe to your channel?
I feel like I argue just fine, but okay.
I like you caveat it with I feel like. I feel like you're coping pretty hard.
Zach,
that's what I feel like.
We have to move on. Zach Akers.
Exactly what it is. I think I actually am going to subscribe to this channel, not because he did a good job in this debate. He did a horrible job. Horrible, terrible job. This dude does not know how to argue. Andrew Wilson is completely right as he sits there like a boss, like a true Chad with his pipe right there. I probably will subscribe to his channel just to see if there's any more content gold in here that I could share with you, my viewers. Great job on Andrew Wilson. He just did his other debate with a corn star that I thought was really good. Pretty much the same thing as this. The where pretty much this woman was out of her depth, and Andrew Wilson just completely schooled her. It got taken down though, so because it was a live stream. So I don't know if they're going to release the clips online, but I assure you, as soon as they do, I am going to cover it because it was really entertaining, just like this one. And if you thought this was entertaining, but what were your thoughts on this? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel, smash that like button. If you like seeing Andrew Wilson dominate in debates, I got a whole playlist for you on the screen, including a legendary one where he completely demolishes Cenk Uygur on Piers Morgan. And I got a whole bunch of other videos on my channel that I think you'll enjoy.